Who is rich and who is poor? What is then the definition of wealth and what is the definition of poverty? Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says, مَنْ يَأْخُذُ عَنِّي هَؤُلَاءِ الْكَلِمَاتِ. I have some words to disseminate. Would anyone come and listen to me? فَيَعْمَلُ بِهِنَّ, implement it. أَوْ يُعَلِّمُ مَنْ يَعْمَلُ بِهِنَّ, or perhaps take it and pass it to someone else. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu came running, he said, "O Nabi of Allah, tell it to me and I will listen." Nabi alayhi salam said, "Ittaqi al-maharim takun a'bad an-nas." O Abu Hurairah, abstain from the disobedience of Allah and you have worshipped Allah the most. O Abu Hurairah, abstain from the disobedience of Allah and you have worshipped Allah the most. وَرْضَ بِمَا قَسَمَ اللَّهُ لَكْ تَكُنْ أَغْنَى النَّاسِ. And be satisfied on the divine distribution of your Allah and you are the wealthiest. You are the wealthiest. You know, the ulama speak of a condition called tafweed, where you hand your condition to Allah. Like I have seen some of my asatiza, I told him, "Maulana, I believe you're going overseas." He says, "I have intended it, now I've left it to Allah." Someone said it so beautifully. I have proposed, or I have applied for my visa. In أَعْطَيْتَ فَإِنَّ الْمُعْطِي هُوَ اللَّهِ. If you approve it, the job or the visa or the proposal, in essence, my Allah has approved it, but you will be appreciated because you are the external means. وَإِن مَنَعْتَ, but if you have refused, actually my Allah has declined, but you will be excused. وَإِن مَنَعْتَ, handing over to Allah. Abu Hurairah, if you will be satisfied. يَا ابْنَ آدَمْ خَلَقْتُكَ لِعِبَادَتِي. Oh my servant, I created you for my worship. فَلَا تَلْعَبْ. I don't want to see you loitering around in the world. I very selectively made this translation. I have created you for my worship. I don't want to see you loitering around. وَقَسَمْتُ لَكَ رِزْقَكَ. And I have decided how much wealth I will be giving you. فَلَا تَتْعَبْ. I don't want to see you exerting yourself. وَفِي أَكْثَرَ مِنْهُ فَلَا تَتْمَعْ. And for more than what I have decided, I don't want you to even desire, never mind endeavor. And listen to what I have to tell you. إِن رَضِيتَ بِمَا قَسَمْتُهُ لَكَ. إِن رَضِيتَ بِمَا قَسَمْتُهُ لَكَ. If you will be happy on my choice and my selection and my distribution, divinely I will bring joy to your heart and your body. And you will be beloved in my eyes. But if you will try and amass more, فَوَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي لَوْ سَلِّتَنَّ عَلَيْكَ الدُّنْيَا. I will impose the world on you. You will literally run like animals. This is not an exaggeration, this is the translation of the quotation. And remember, my servant, in the end, you will not get more than what I have allotted. You will abandon your family life, you will abandon your social life, you will have nothing, it will be nothing like joy in that life. Like someone said, listen to this, brothers. طَلَبْنَا ثَلَاثَ. We all are searching for three things, but we were looking in the wrong place. طَلَبْنَا الْغِنَى فِي الْمَالِ. We searched for wealth in things, but actually it was in contentment. Actually it was in contentment. وَطَلَبْنَا الرَّاحَ فِي الْكَثْرَةِ. And we were searching for comfort in luxury. But actually, وَطَلَبْنَا الرَّاحَ فِي الْكَثْرَةِ. We were searching for luxury in comfort, but it was kept in the tawakkul and in qana'at with Allah, in contentment. وَطَلَبْنَا الْكَرَامَ فِي الْخَلْقِ. And we searched for honor in the creation, but honor was in with Allah. Maulana Rashid Rahmatullah used to say, the joy, the divine formula of the joy of both the worlds, the divine formula of the joy of both the worlds is not to desire wealth nor honor from any human. Once a man has disciplined himself, he has matured the crave of materialism. Wallah, people have been blinded by the crave of materialism to such an extent. I know of people that were making money out of their own parents. Can a man stoop so low? Someone said it so beautifully, the best way to put an end to depression is don't think of three things in your life. لا تتفكر في فقرك. Don't ever think about poverty because it will only increase your greed. It will only increase your greed, number one. Number two, لا تتفكر في ظلم من ظلمك. Don't think of those that have hurt you, oppressed you, done you, who have been evil to you and bad to you in business or in any aspect of life. Why? Because now it will create malice in you. And every time you will be at loggerheads and you will try and retaliate. But while you are trying to retaliate, you will be making your own life more miserable. The miserable of your wife, miserable of your children. You will harm that man least and you will harm yourself most. And لا تتفكر في طول البقاء. Do not plan a long future. Allah alone knows what is the future of every man. But do not plan a long future. For verily, if you plan a long future, you will have to amass a lot. Because at the age of 80, I'll need this. When I'm 85, I'll need this. You're planning a long future. Do not plan a long future so that you do not have to amass more of this world. يَا ابْنَ آدَمْ تَفَرَّغْ لِعِبَادَتِي. O my servant, free yourself for my ibadat. أَمْلَأُ قَلْبَكَ غِنًا. I will fill your heart with joy. And brothers, may I add, one of the greatest contributing factors to depression, I swear by Allah in whose control is my life, is guna. There's nothing that can depress a man more than sin. Ask that man that is on ecstasy, and ask that person, let's perhaps take one hadith of Nabi alayhi salam. Nabi alayhi salam says, Inna sidqa tamanina. Verily, honesty creates contentment. Honesty provides satisfaction. Honesty brings about happiness. And lies creates restlessness, uneasiness. Now extend the meaning of this hadith. Honesty, piety, loyalty, fidelity, in every aspect, in every facet of life, compliance to the order of Allah will bring joy, will bring inner satisfaction. And a person that is involved in an unlawful relation, is restless. My wife mustn't get hold of my phone. She mustn't see this phone number. Let me rush to the door. He is restless. Why? Because he is in disobedience. Ask that man, when he becomes sober, and ask that man, perhaps while he is perpetrating the crime, he enjoys fake pleasure. But no sooner he leaves that woman and he comes home, he gets such depression, I swear by Allah, no tablet in the world can put an end to that depression. And let me tell you, that antidepressant, brothers, that is like someone, this is my own example that I always give. Antidepressant, that is like a person went to the mechanic and says, you know what, there's a certain rattle in my car, I just can't trace it. So the mechanic looked at it and he says, you know what, I can't solve it, but I've got one clue. If it's really bothering you, the next time you try, put your radio louder. That's the way you would. That is depression. Wallah, you've camouflaged the problem, you've solved no problem. وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ. It comes in the hadith of Bayhaqi, لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. It's the cure of 99 ailments, the least of which is depression. After first salah, Nabi alayhi salam has taught us, Allahumma adhib anni al-hamma wal-huzn. To rub your hand over your forehead and to make dua, that Allah remove sorrow and grief for me. Another dua of Nabi alayhi salatu was salam, As'aluka bi kulli ismin huwa lak. Allah, I ask you through the medium of every name of yours, أنزلته في كتابك, which you've revealed in any scripture, أو علمته أحدا من خلقك, or you have divinely taught it to any servant, or you've kept it in any kitab, أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا, that make the Quran a means of light to my heart, and remove that inner depression. What did Sayyidina Luqman tell his son? Oh my son, save yourself from death. It is a worry by night and a disgrace by day. Save yourself from death. It is a worry by night and it is a disgrace by day. So brothers, as I mentioned, the modern day poverty is in the midst of wealth, a man has no peace. Remember, depression is also comes from Allah. When Allah wants to snatch depression, when Allah wants to bring depression, and Allah wants to snatch joy from a man, Fir'aun sitting on his throne, it was only told to him one vision and Allah crippled his joy. A man is living in a palace, he enjoys everything, doctors suspect cancer, nothing confirmed. That's the end of joy in the life of that man. That's the end of happiness and vacations. There is a fear that he will be diagnosed with cancer. He sits there. You perhaps don't own that wealth, but you have a variety and there's delicacies. He can't touch eggs for breakfast, he can't have that for lunch. What good is that wealth when you cannot eat it yourself? One vision, Fir'aun is sitting on his throne, and it was told to him that a child will be born, and you will lose your kingdom at his hands. The child is not yet born, and you're still governing. But the riwayat suggests from that day, Fir'aun was a different man. Allah can cripple a man. And likewise, when Allah wants to give contentment, when Allah wants to give divine peace, this comes from Allah. The average man, the fears that haunt the mind of an average man today is sufficient depression. Whether a man becomes a victim to any tragedy or not, the fears that are ever lurking and the fears that are haunting the mind of every man is sufficient depression. The poet says it so beautifully, سَأَلْتُ مِنَ الْأَتِبَّى خَبِيرًا ذَاتَ يَوْمٍ مِمَّ شَيْبِي. I presented in the surgery of a physician. If you understand basic Arabic, you can appreciate these couplets. فَقُلْتُ مِمَّ شَيْبِي. I asked him, I said, Doc, look at me, I'm getting white man. What's the reason for this? فَقَالَ بَلْغَمُ. He examined me, he made a diagnosis. He says, a lot of phlegm in your body. I told him, Doc, I don't know much. With utmost respect to your expertise, this got nothing to do with phlegm. بَلْغَمُ. Instead, this is depression. This is the tap any man and let him pour his heart out, and every man is in crisis. Wallah, don't be deceived by his palatial home. Don't be deceived by his ex-wife. Go into that man's life and you see this crisis. Like the poet says it so beautifully, that إِنِّي رَأَيْتُكَ جَالِسًا مُسْتَقْبِلِي فَعَلِمْتُ أَنَّكَ لِلْهُمُومِ قَرِينُ. Oh my brother, I seen you sitting before me. The very gesture of your face indicated you're going through depression. هَوِّنْ عَلَيْكَ وَكُمْ بِرَبِّكَ وَاثِقًا. Relax and take it easy and put trust in Allah. فَأَخُ التَّوَكُّلِ شَأْنُهُ التَّهْوِينُ. For verily the one that relies on Allah, the one that relies on Allah takes life easy. Like in English they say so beautifully, of course it's an example, to speak to Allah no breath is lost. To walk with Allah no strength is lost. To wait for Allah no time is lost. So trust in Allah and you'll never be lost. فَأَخُ التَّوَكُّلِ شَأْنُهُ التَّهْوِينُ. طرح الأذى عن نفسه في رزقه لما تيقن أنه مذمون. The only way to avert financial depression, the only way to avert financial depression is to convince yourself Allah is the sustainer. When you've convinced yourself, now the gross fluctuation in the currency and the competitors in the market and the volatility of the rand and the fake predictions of the economists will not bother you in any way. My respected father always says, may Allah give him jazai khair, he's present in this gathering. Allah reward him abundantly for the wonderful upbringing he has given me. He always taught us, and I repeat it here, that yesterday we say things were cheap, but we didn't own it and we couldn't afford it. Today when it is expensive, Allah has given us. What is the fuss for? Allah has provided it for us today. Let us look at the du'as of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma qanni'ni bima razaqtani. Oh Allah, grant me contentment in what you have provided. Thumma barik li fi. And then give me barakat. Give me barakat. Now if you analyze contentment, contentment is something that is associated with needs. Needs has a limit and has a definition. Greed has no limit and no definition. Allah's qasam, the entire world has come on to greed today. The world has come on to greed. There's no definition to greed. One humble man in his simple profession taught me a lesson. I one day took my kurtas to him to sew it. And after he was finished, he told me, Maulana, you can pick up your kurta. So I asked him, what do I owe you? He says, no, I can't take money from you. I insisted, you have to charge me. Then he took a meager amount to make me happy. So I told him, no, but it's not enough. He turned around and he said, Maulana, what is the definition of enough? What does enough mean? What is the definition of enough? Wallah, the hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu was salam. This is the modern day poverty, that in the midst of affluence a man has no peace. In the midst of affluence, Allah says the object of your house in the 14th juz of the Quran, هُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمْ. Allah says He has made for you مِن بُيُوتِكُمْ سَكَنًا. He has given you a home in which you can get pleasure and bliss and joy. If your house is not providing you with comfort, the fundamental object of that house is